They almost got me. It took a while. Hell, it took more than a year. But we're here. The stakes, they're so high. I need to deliver. I will deliver. The best game since Freddy f***ing Fish.
Mr. Godspear.
I'll be answering your questions now. Ladies and gentlemen, those are all very good questions, but I'm afraid I can't answer a single one of them. What I can say, however, is that we are so f***ing back.
Today is January 7th, 2025. In just 2 weeks, I'll be launching the demo for Textbound Tales, a project that's consumed over 3 years of my life, and yet as I sit here today, it is nothing like what I imagined it to be when I first started. Throughout its development, I've been both this project's most fervent champion as well as its harshest critic. But to understand how it all led to this moment, we need to rewind to a little over a year ago. November 2023. 2 years since I started working on Textbound Tales. What began as a passion project I thought I could wrap up in a few months had turned into something else entirely. For about 6 months, the project had been gathering both metaphorical as well as physical dust on my hard drive with no progress in sight. The application for additional funding by the Government Audiovisual Fund was rejected, despite traveling to GDC to find publishers no one seemed interested, and this project had just grown beyond any manageable scope. I'm really considering cancelling the project and just focusing on the work that allows me to actually live, because like it or not, projects like these don't actually pay the bills. They drain your bank account like a 35,000 euro hooker you fell in love with. But I digress. That November, during a random game of Black Ops 3 Zombies with my brother, he suddenly goes, "F*** Textbound Tales, how about you make this instead?" So I go, "F*** you. But how about I did make this instead?" Hold up, I know what you're thinking. He's gone completely crazy. And yes, I have gone completely crazy. But hear me out for a second. What if, instead of focusing on making Textbound Tales an open world RPG, I turned it into something else entirely? What if I reimagined it as an Easter egg hunt in a controlled environment? A game of discovery with connected clues and mysteries that the players could solve to unlock specific parts of their story. Without the zombies, of course. Although... So I went to bed that night wondering whether I had just been thinking about this project all wrong. The next morning, I woke up determined. With a few conceptual redesigns, I was sure this game was gonna work. But saying stuff like, "I was sure this game was gonna work," is easy. The hard part was just beginning. Reworking the project this much meant that I had drawn the attention from the scope police. Hey, buddy. Kind of like a game, huh? Cool. What have you thought about? Scope? Barely used reputation meter? Liquidated! Locations that lack any content whatsoever? Busted. Oh buddy, this is bad. An arbitrary level meter that serves no purpose other than to delay the player's progress so that they see the shitty content before getting to the real content? Oh, buddy. August 2024. Copscar was just finished kicking the absolute shit out of my project, and I was left with the bare minimum of functional content, bugs that would still show up months later, and a ton of work to do. But I was certain that the game was better now than it was before. The main feedback I still received was that it lacked meaningful quests and goals. So like any good self-employed developer, I hired someone to add them for me. Meet Johan, a talented, fresh graduate from DAE who was willing to sacrifice his time in order to slave away at Textbound Tales for mere shillings. But bringing Johan on board meant that this was no longer a one-man band. This never was a band. This is a game studio. Did you think this was a band? When Johan first hopped on the project, it was great to have a fresh set of eyes and all the enthusiasm you usually only get from unpaid interns. But soon enough, he also started to point out issues that players had mentioned before. He played the old version and then played the new version, and he definitely agreed the new one was better, but he still thought it could be improved. We talked for weeks about all the changes he wanted to make while reworking scenarios and quests, and after so many requests from Johan, I just had to put my foot down and tell him. And so he did. From September onwards, it was 4 months of pure enjoyment as I watched Johan point out glaring issues with the game that I'd been blind to, then brainstorm fixes with me, and then implement them one by one. We had set a deadline to release the demo in December, so we kept steadily working towards that. In a few months, we'd made as much progress as I alone had made over the course of 3 years. Which was good, because I don't know how well you can count, but according to these little piggies, we don't have much time left. So after months of development, my wildest plans coming to fruition, and finally having found someone who saw the same potential as me, I decided to kill Textbound Tales. No, not the game, you dumbass. We just fixed it. The name! Over the past few months, I had talked to other developers, publishers, and experts, and one thing kept coming up. They thought the name of the game didn't really match the wacky nature of the characters in the world. I was convinced that to truly embrace this new vision of the game, we should rebrand it entirely. After weeks of coming up with different name IDs, testing them, going back and forth, we decided that the game would no longer be known as Textbound Tales and would instead be known as Whack Humor for 20k Space Morons 2. We called it Disastery.
But I call it this ass story.
December 2024. The deadline is closer than ever, and we haven't even properly tested the game yet to find all the different loose ends and scenarios that would undoubtedly break. The month goes by, the holidays creep up, and I mean the demo is technically ready, but there's no way we can still prepare a proper release this late. I make the call. The demo gets delayed to January 2025. It's no biggie, we didn't really announce it anywhere. Anyway, January 2025. That's now. I'm done. Like, subscribe, go play the game, dummy. It's out. Bye!